Hello guys, welcome back to another video. And today, since the first video is already so popular, at least for me, with 247 views, I will be looking at the unused content of PvZ Garden Warfare 1 sequel, PvZ Garden Warfare 2. So let's get into the video. Both Torchwood and HoverGo 3000 have unused icons, added in December 2018. It would have been icons for other party members in Backyard Battlegrounds, which suggests that at one point these costumes may have been actual variants. We also have sticker pieces for HoverGo and Torchwood, which in the final game cannot be unlocked from sticker packs, but rather from completing Trial of Nomus. Next, we have a boss icon for House Gargantua, suggesting that House Gargantua wasn't just going to be part of the Super Gargantua wave, but rather its own separate boss. Next, we have some spotting icons for unused bosses, including Imitator, a Crab Robot, Super Chili Bean, Orange Juice Robot, and Renegade. Also, there are unused spotting icons for the bot and pot spawners. Also, some colored tacos, which like we're going to use in Taco Bandits. In the game mode Suburbidation, there are only 3 bases named ABC, but there are 2 more unused icons for bases D and E, meaning that there were originally going to be 5 bases instead of the normal 3. Next, we have some icons for some unused abilities, like the unused Spike ability, it was likely for Cactus. It may have been a leftover from Garden Warfare 1, judging by the low quality of the image. Also, an unused icon for Torchwood's unused ability Sprint Smash can be found in the files. And there's also a Future Nut, which is a variant of the Tona Battle Meat, which would have given the player standing near a damage boost. This one is not entirely unused, but next we have Explosive Escape. Normally you would never see this in the game, however if the animated UI button disappears it can be seen in-game. Cannon Rodeo Exit has a unused icon for exiting Cannon Rodeo. Next we have both of the Garden Warfare 1 engineer drones, which were replaced by the Parrot Pal for Captain Deadbeard, but files for the engineer drones still exist. Next, we have graphics for Boss Bait, including a green crystal, which is unknown what it would have been used for. We also have the bait for the Crab Robot, which was a pair of swimming trunks. We have early Sasquatch bait, which was an open can of soup, which was made when Sasquatch was a story mode boss. The Super Chili Bean would have used hot sauce as bait. Orange Juice Robot would have used a plate of breakfast, which is shaped as a face. The Imitator bait was just a block of butter, and Renegade Imp had Cyber Jerky as bait. And also, we have unused pot and bots icons for Uplink Bot, Gloomshroom, and Lightning Breed. The Uplink Bot seems to be concept art, and Gloomshroom is weirdly purple instead of green, like in the final game. Now for some more interesting stuff. We have a wishing well. It is found in the game as an unused banner, which contains a wishing well, which would have let players leave behind stars to the other player. I personally think this would have been a cool feature. According to one of the game's developers, Justin Weeb, they removed it because of exploitable issues the mechanic could have caused. Next, we have the game's dummy card. It's the cone-headed bucket head pack, which was also unused in Garden Warfare 1, yeah! This appears if the card has no graphic associated with it. It even says Garden Warfare on the corner of the pack along with different lighting. Next, there is an unused rank 55 flake with a red zebra and red and black zebra-like pattern. However, there are no more characters were added to PvZ Garden Warfare 2, so it was unused. Boss mode was supposed to come back in Garden Warfare 2. However, it never does, but there are unused placeholder icons for boss mode. And the sprites for the boss roulette icons, there are placeholder coins that say coins bronze and coins gold. There is a placeholder icon for the zombie horde that says horde armor. And lastly, for unused graphics, we have the sad zombie yeti. That was a dummy card for Garden Warfare 1, but because the Conehead Buckethead sticker pack is the game's dummy card, it is unknown what it's doing in here. There are a lot of debug options, so I'm just going to skip a lot of the debug options, but I'll go over the one that sounds interesting and a few that work. Jump to wave. Immediately goes to a wave. It can go to 1, 2, 3, and question mark. Zombies win plus plants win. It is meant to make zombies instantly win or plants instantly win, but doesn't work. Cats vs. Dinos disable gnomes. The button disables the gnomes and cats and dinos. Disable singularities. Removes all the singularities. Crazy option heal aura. This applies to all the server and must be used online. CTC zombies win plus plants win. These options make zombies instantly win or plants instantly win. Display all special characters. Display a screen with all special characters and fonts. EA text debug shows debug text aligned vertically in different places on the screen. This does nothing. Yes, it does. But black market. Alright, this one is kind of funny. It was likely going to road Rux's shop, but instead loads a message named temporarily removed. Sorry, and the text says talk to Jeff Sif as you need this put back in, and the OK barn saying okie dokie. Skip op waves. This is nothing but sounds interesting. There are a lot more of the debug menu, but since there are a lot more debugging, I don't want to really go over that anymore. There were several advertisement characters in PvZ Garden Warfare 1, whose primaries are unused in PvZ Garden Warfare 2 along with the character. There's the orange burst for the citrus cactus, who's an advert for Aquafina, along with Berry Pea, who has an unused weapon in the game. Cheetos were also an advert in the game, and they had Dr. Chester for Scientists and Chester Chomper, both of which had their primaries and abilities still in this game. The airstrikes were made for boss mode for PvZ Garden Warfare 1. However, since boss mode does not exist in PvZ Garden Warfare 2, the airstrikes go unused in the final game. But the actual thing refuses to work, so maybe a lot of the files were removed. Same with the Healing Gravestone, except it was already a scrapped ability, but a lot of the files were removed, so it does not work properly. The Zombot drone and rocket drone were both replaced by the Parrot Pal for Captain Deadbeard, but they still do kind of work. The Zombot drone has a broken propeller, probably because of the files for it are missing, and the rocket drone does not have a texture, so it just appears pink. Goo Blaster Charge. This is an unused alternate version of the Scientist Goo Blaster. It has no sound, but it deals 40 damage up close for the first charge, and for the second charge it does 40 damage up close, but it also fires a projectile that does 30 damage for 70 damage total. AI Assault Rifle. This one was likely used for testing, but the weapon is very similar to Foot Soldier's primary weapon. Teleporter. This is a file that can be found in both PvZ Garden Warfare 1 and PvZ Garden Warfare 2. It goes unused, but when loaded in the game, it has an ability. It is an ability. The ability has infinite cooldown and serves no purpose, and it can be destroyed. AI Gatling is unknown when it was done, but it has infinite ammo. The Imp Flyer is an Imp mech that would let Imps fly around like drones, but has no textures or animations. Although it was briefly in the cinematic intro of the game, it never appears in the game except for in the Imp Portal Room. The concept of the Imp Flyer was reused in BFN on an enemy in Mount Steep. The Shuck Shotgun was meant for Kernel Corn as an alternate weapon and fires 2 bursts of kernels that do 1 to 2 damage each. E3 Guard Drone. Most of the time, this drone crashes the game, probably because it spawns inside the player, but when it doesn't crash the game, it's a lot different from the regular guard drone, having 100 health instead of 5, and it has only 1 propeller. It It also has a slightly different primary. Future Note we already talked about, but it did return for BFN, kind of. Instead of being for Cactus, it's for the Engineers. It's the Engineer's Heavy Helper. Armor Piercing Peach. This is an unused alternate EM Peach that ignores armor and does 50 damage. The Zombot Turret is an unused engineer ability that spawns a level 1 Zombot Turret. The Buff Bubble was a scrapped version of Hovergo's Buff Beam, which, when you use, spawns a bubble around Hovergo, which buffs nearby teammates and debuffs nearby enemies. Early Heal Flower. This is a scrapped version of Heal Flower. It has 2 charges and spawns a Heal Flower above the player. Sprint Smash. This one finally actually has a video for it, but when used as Torch, when he charges in a direction he was facing, knocks any zombies out of its path into the area of effect smash that does 75 damage. The Race Goat Jump is an unused ability most likely used for Delivery Goat. That when he uses propels the player forward. On some characters, it applies the goop visual to them. Bling Nugget Potato Mine. An unused Bling version of the Nugget Potato Mine that works the same as normal. Bling Heal Station. When a Bling Armored Heal Station was used in a final game, it does act identical to the normal Heal Station, but it's extra shiny. That's all I'm going to cover, as the list gets pretty long, so I'm just going to move on. If you'd like to see the rest of the unused weapon data, I will link it in the description down below. Anyways, let's move on. First off, for this section, we got probably the most well-known unused boss, and that is Imitator. It is a buggy boss hunt. It would have roamed the map and randomly burrow in the ground and summon multiple zombies. Whenever he burrows, he also summons an imitated boss. Bosses he can imitate are Gargantuar, Zen Sensei, Disco Zombie, or Baron Von Bats. Once the plant player destroys the imitated boss, the imitator will come back from the ground and continue fighting. It has tags for boss hunts, and according to Jeff Shaw, the lead designer on all the Garden Warfare games in Star Wars Battlefront 2, it was cut because it was getting expensive really quickly. Next we have Super Chili Bean. He was an unused boss hunt for the normal Super Bean and had a 500 health shield surrounding him. It has its own unique Overbeam mode. Instead of firing a single laser, it would shoot 2 devastating high laser rapidly. The lasers were so powerful that it can kill any playable zombie in 2 seconds. Next, we have Renegade Imp, but due to some files that said it was going to be a boss and also a backyard-related enemy, it was probably not going to be a playable character. Its true original purpose is unknown, but it's still really cool. It uses imp blasters with a broken sound, probably as a placeholder, and would repeatedly summon its mech. Like a Super Chili Bean, the mech is very powerful and can easily kill any playable plant. This mech has a better chain laser, a warp, and a better version of Missile Madness somehow. Foot Stomp and an airstrike of stink clouds, and finally multiple gravity grenades. This boss was lured by some Cyber Jerky, and some strings for the Cyber Jerky still exist, including Cyber Jerky becomes lean. Also, there are some unused sounds, so here they are. Next, we have Zombot. This one was supposed to appear in Garden Ops. It was originally supposed to be in Garden Warfare 1 as a boss and first appeared in E3. I made a video about Garden Warfare 1 unused content, including the Zombots, so the link will be in the description for that video. Occasionally in Z-Tech Factory, one of the Zombots will go rogue and start killing plants and zombies. It isn't considered a boss though. When it's summoned, it will appear in the ground and occasionally attack the player. Beatboxer, a unused boss hunt, home strings, and bait data left over. Other than that, there is nothing from this boss. Next, it's an Unused robot, which was seemingly scrapped early on. It has little to no data in the final build of the game, but in the first version of the game, there's a lot of data for this. There were bait strings and bait. His bait would have been a balanced breakfast. Wave data, which would have summoned citrons, and boss spawn data, which spawns a torchwood. Although it was scrapped, it did make an appearance in the comics. A crab robot was probably also scrapped early on, and the only two data for it was some text, 2 icons, and animation, and attack names, and some spawn data. His bait was swimming trunks. Now the Sasquatch was used in the final game as a boss hunt, but it was originally going to be a story mode character. His bait was a soup can, which has both an icon and model left over in the final game. The actual boss is very similar to the boss hunt, but it would spawn healing burgers more often and Doug more often as well, usually when he attacked. And with that, let's move on to the next section. Fire Pea and Ice Pea. I'm putting together because they are both NPCs, but they don't appear as a summonable plant. But Ice Pea does appear in the Zomburger delivery challenges. It shoots frozen peas that slow and freeze zombies. Next, there's a magnifying glass from PZ2. Not much to say other than that. A power lily would have increased damage from nearby plants. The pea repeater shoots 2 peas at once instead of 1. The food fight pea is an untextured entirely finish. Due to its name, it was probably been used during the food fight event near Thanksgiving. The fence weed would have likely acted like a coffin zombie. It was probably later replaced by the face weed. Booster Bot would have boosted zombie damage output. And finally, Shield Bot would have attached a protective beam to a nearby zombie. Anyways, that's it for the unused summons, and finally got the actual main page. After 7 pages of the script, of sub-pages alone. Anyways, let's get to the actual main Garden Warfare 2 unused content page. This right here is an early mock-up of Garden Warfare 2. There are many changes in this mock-up, which once again, to save some time, I will not go over all of them, and the link to the cutting room floor for the game will be in the description. So if you want to know every single little change in the mock-up, you can go there, but here's some of the changes. The background kind of looks like Garden Warfare 1, with more blue sky instead of purple. The 8 classes available are all All-Stars, with the images being reused from Garden Warfare 1. But Boss Mode was supposed to return in Garden Warfare 2, and in this image there is Dr. Zomba's, likely representing Boss Mode. All the character images are wrestling stars with different image. 3 orange balls next to the player's name with unknown significance. Near the bottom of the image are 3 bars, which most likely show the class's health, strength, and speed. Nothing like that ever appears in the final game. There was an unused description for it, which reads, "The All-Stars, the go-to choice for clobbering your plant enemies. The basic All-Star can be equipped with football cannon, spike cleats, and more." The description mentions spike cleats, which might have been used for the All-Stars playstyle, and it might have had a bigger role. Because of that, it might have been an ability or passive of some sort. Also, the All-Star's name is incorrect. It's supposed to be spelled like this. The Giga Gargantuan wasn't just going to be a boss, but a playable character. It's very unfinished and it was probably used for testing. Also, it uses the foot soldier's abilities, and its primary is the electric ball that shoots out electricity. It does 300 damage per shot and has 200 ammo. The Laser Goats is also an unfinished class, but this time it was actually going to be used for something. It was going to appear in Team Vanquish Goats, a scrapped mystery portal game mode. They have the physics of a regular goat and also the ability to double jump. The plant version of the goat is named Laser Mohawk, and also the and also has green armor, while the zombie version has purple armor and is named Laser Horns. The unused weapons for this class are its primary, which is similar to Hover Ghost 3000's primary, but it's infinite. Like every infinite ammo weapon, overheats damage buff booster, which is Hover Ghost. Buff Beam. Heal Bletch provides a quick healing over time to nearby enemies. And finally, Impulse Grenade, which is unfinished and uses Gravity Grenade assets, but unlike the Gravity Grenade, it does not explode instantly unless it hits the plant, and the explosion does 15 damage and knockback to the plant. To start off, we got an unused animation for Super Brains. This is likely a cut gesture. It looks like he's charging up in some way and flies a little bit. And we have some unused idle animations for Crazy Dave. There's a lot of unused music, so let's just get started on this section. This one would have been played during a plant mission. This one is the previous one, just for zombies. These next three we're going to be using Great White North. In the final game, every map uses the same song no matter what zone was captured. The next three is for Seas of Time, and once again in the final game, every map uses the same song no matter what zone is captured. Next is Sunflower Queen's Super Boss Wave. Next, Gigatorch was Super Boss Wave. Next, Super Beans, Super Boss Wave. Next, Mex Gargantuar, Super Boss Wave. And next, Zen Sensei, Super Boss Wave. Next, we have not a Super Boss Wave music, but legendary hat music. The hat would have been used for a Colonel Chorus. And finally, a short but dramatic song. Where it would have been used is unknown. First off, we got Tiny Mode, which shrinks the player about 50% and is fully functional, meaning that it was most likely it was scrapped last minute. Next, we have ink painting, which makes everything have black and white outlines and makes particles invisible. The event was leading up to the reveal of BFN, and has several scrapped features. For starters, in the player's backyard, there was a telescope they can interact with, and when interacted with, a character named Taco, which is just a giant taco on top of the town center. The taco was referred to as the taco of your dreams. After the taco stops talking, the player would have seen a screen with rewards, kind of like BFN. It is presumed that the rewards would have been used for BFN, as the name of that game was found in the UI setups for the reward screen. Another thing that was left unused was Proposal Salsa mode, which is like Super Team Vanquish. It's Team Vanquish, but with power-ups. For unknown reasons, this was scrapped. In my opinion, it would have been cool to see them remake Super Team Vanquish as that. Alright, so we got a couple of early missions named for the section. 19 Imps and Counting was replaced by Imp Roundup. The Brain Vengers is a reference to the Avengers. It was replaced by the League of Awesome. And finally, we have Grey's Anatomy. It was called that because the shark's name is Grayson, according to one of the game's developers. Also, each class is going to have 5 missions instead of 3, but it's unknown what their names were. In earlier versions of the game, if you clip down to the sewers with All-Star, as the player can talk with an unused NPC that was named Branching Zombot. After attempting to interact with the Branching Zombot, it would give the dialogue, "I have no quests." The only available option to respond is to ask what, and the Branching Zombot would say, "Come back later," and the options are yes and no, which ends the dialogue with the Branching Zombot. In a later unknown update, the Branching Zombot and all references to it was removed. Off-screen wizard hat. In a now patched glitch, you can see a customization booth with a garlic drone, and they can see a wizard hat on top of the table, which is normally not seen because it's right behind the camera. Also, the top of the closest kind of the hat which goes higher than what is normally seen. In Great White North 2, random gravestones can be found off the map. The upgradable turrets are found in one of the hills near each base as a defender bot that engineers can build are actually leftovers Zombot turrets from Garden Warfare 1. However, when it is upgraded to Tier 2, it becomes glitched out Tier 3. The textures of Gravedigger, an unused character, and boss in Garden Warfare 1. There's a SWAT zombie, or as I called him last time, a swampy, in the textures, which is concept art in Garden Warfare 1. It was later remade into the foot soldier. This means that the textures were just taken from Garden Warfare 1 and moved over to this game for the test tube. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. See ya.